Hey guys, how's it going? Comparion here. So I know a lot of you know where the Whirlwind Barb stands in Diablo 3, but not as many know about the original, the classic Diablo 2 Whirlwind Barb. Now there is a very distinct difference. Um, in Diablo 2, when the expansion came out, it fundamentally changed, several skills, and one of those skills was Whirlwind. Whirlwind on Classic behaves differently than it does in Lord of Destruction expansion for Diablo 2, in the fact that attack speed is standardized across the board in Classic, while it is, very important for LOD, so you can get more attacks in during your Whirlwind. But even in like the maximum possible attack speed in LOD, it still doesn't match the power of Whirlwind on Classic, strictly because of the number of attacks that you get in with this ability. And because of that, it's a pretty interesting mechanic. It's like a blast to the past for some people because a lot of you guys, I know you guys still like the Diablo 2. It's still my offline game of choice. You don't really remember the classic stuff because it is different and it is very entertaining. Now, the reason I play Classic is largely because you make use out of very strange items, like you make use of items like these. The best items in Classic are primarily rares mixed with a few sets. So, in Classic and in Diablo 2, generally you want items that have certain stats, and it's very difficult to get them because of the item budget on gear. And you can make use out of pretty crappy uniques like at least by LOD standards, like Bone Snap. You can make use of Saigon pieces. Now I'm using the gloves and the helmet, which gives me a 2-piece 10% lifesteal, which is a big bonus for Classic. Use Manal's heals, use Cyrus's set, and get attack rating, get defense. Attack rating is like your chance to hit the mob, and all your character stats are displayed in this screen in Diablo 2. And each time you level, you can attribute 5 points to whichever stat you want. My base strength for this barbarian is 70, and all the rest of the points are into vitality. Usually what I do is I try to get a bone snap. Trying to get one specific unique or legendary, as you may think of it in Diablo 3, sounds like an impossible task. But in Diablo 2, the mobs in the game had their own loot tables, and certain loot tables have this particular item as the most common one. Notably, I believe Diablo on normal and Mephisto on Nightmare, I believe, have a very, very high chance to drop Bone Snap over any other unique in the game. So it's pretty easy to get at in reality. Then you also need 2-piece Saigons. Usually, I would find the armor, so I'd use Saigon's armor because it has lightning resist, and Bone Snap has cold and fire resist. So it's a very nice combo to where 2 pieces of your gear give you 30 to all resist essentially. There's poison resist in the game as well, aside from these 3, but it sucks pretty hard. It's pretty useless for a barbarian who does this kind of build. Then you go for leech rings. You want to try to get 4 to 5% mana leech minimum. You can get a Manald's heal. You'll eventually get something like that, or you can get a rare or a blue ring or amulet with that amount of mana leech as well. So you get the 2-piece Saigons, preferably the helm, because the helm gives you attack rating, and attack rating is very important to this build. And if you can, you try to get 2-piece Saris, or you can try to get 2-piece Deaths. I don't have Deaths any piece on this character, but it would be the belt and the gloves. And the rest of the items, try to get some resistance, no big deal. One of my favorite armors to use, I believe, is called Bone Flesh. It's a unique plate mail because it does life steal and bleed. So that's very, very nice stuff. So the stats are pretty simple for this barbarian. My lightning is not capped because I'm not using the Saigon's armor, and if I were, I would need very little else to cap my resistances. And this is in Hell mode. In Classic and Hell difficulty, your resistances are only minus 50%, but because there's no quest that permanently increases your resistances, it's actually pretty hard to obtain in some cases, though not really for barbarians. For barbarians, this is the talent build in Diablo 2, if you're not familiar with it. You get 1 point for each time you level, and you get 12 points total throughout the quests in the game if you complete them on all the difficulty levels. So I'll guide you through what I have. So war cries, you know, we can step outside of town and show you guys some interesting stuff here. So war cry, this is what we're talking about. Oh man, look how badass that sounds. So what I got is, I got Howl just because I need to get it to get the other stuff. I got Taunt just because I need to get it to get Battle Cry. Battle Cry, a lot of people don't get this, and this is kind of like optional. But what it does is it reduces the defense by 50% at level 1, reduces the damage as well. The damage is good, but it's not really the make or break for this ability. What's really powerful is the minus defense. If you reduce the defense by 50% for certain mobs, you pretty much hit them every single time based on how the game works. In contrast, if you see like, you know, Fallen or level, you know, the lowest level mobs in Hell, and I'm 69, which is way higher than their level, and my chance is 88%. When it comes to mobs that are above your level, which is going to be, you know, in many cases what you'll encounter in this game, at least in the later stages of Hell difficulty, your chance to hit them will be like in the 60s. So because of that, having Battle Cry will be very, very powerful. And the only issue is that it's very short range, so you have to be pretty close to the mobs to actually get it off. But the reason why it's so powerful is because in this game, the mobs always regenerate HP. I think if you hit a mob, you have like 2 or 3 seconds before it starts regenerating hit points. So being able to hit them more often actually gives you an added benefit of the fact that, you know, if you would otherwise just miss the mob completely, its hit points regeneration would start going into effect. So that's very, very important for Classic, where your damage is not going to be anywhere near what it may be in the expansion. See if you can see here, my Wellman damage is 600, right? And mobs still have the same amount of life, so you'll see how I kill them here. So I get that, and then I get the cookie cutter stuff. I get Shout, just 1 point for now, then Battle Orders, then Battle Command. Shout gives you a bonus to armor. Battle Orders gives you a bonus to hit points, mana, and stamina. This is like the really, really important shout in this game. Battle Command gives you, you know, bonus to skill. So what you do is you cast Battle Command, which ups your skills by 1. Then you do Shout, which is now level 2 instead of level 1. And then you do Battle Orders, which is now level 21 instead of level 20. And it's pretty good because if you get all of these, they synergize one another. You see a secondary bonus there. Battle Orders receives bonus from Shout and Battle Command 5 seconds per level. So they last longer if you have points in any of them, and they have like some kind of ability synergization, which you can read there. And Shout is also good for Berserk. Berserk gets 10% damage from Shout, and that's important because you have this other ability called Iron Skin, which gives you 10% armor per level. Shout gives you 10% armor per level, but if you get Shout as opposed to Iron Skin, which you'll have Shout up anyway, it'll increase the duration of your shouts and the damage of Berserk, which is more important than a passive benefit because the shouts are essentially passive themselves. So now we can move on to this line. I have increased stamina. You have to get that to get increased walking speed. The speed is really good. Often when I play a Barb, I'll get like 7 or 8 points in this, but because this is like a solo Barb, I didn't have like another Barb doing war cries for me. I didn't really have that many points to spare, so that's why I only got 1 point, but it's still very, very important. Like 20% free run speed is going to get you out of a lot of situations. And you have Iron Skin, which is a passive defensive bonus, and you have Natural Resistance. Natural Resistance, I get it really high because, like you see, my gear is not very good. I like to get it to the 60% mark. So essentially this nullifies the hell penalty of 50, and it brings me up to a base resistance of 10, which is very, very strong. Also in the next combat tab is the combat skills here, and this is essentially the abilities that you use. Out of these abilities, I use these 3 here. I use Leap Attack. Leap Attack I primarily use as a form of mobility to get over obstacles and monsters that I can't really kill. Whirlwind goes through monsters, which is very, very powerful in this game. It's just like Diablo 3 in that fact, but it's a little bit different because instead of like dragging your mouse and moving your character wherever you want, it's a click to use ability. I'm gonna do my shouts here, and see if I click over there, it'll just Whirlwind over there. I can't like hold click. If I hold click, it just like recasts whenever it gets to the end point of one of my clicks. So you have to keep that in mind. It's not the same ability mechanically. And then I have Berserk. Berserk is important because it deals magical damage, and Whirlwind does physical damage. You're like, okay, so what do you mean? Well, in Diablo 2, there's immunities. Certain monsters are immune to physical damage, and certain monsters with affixes like Stone Skin, which gives them physical resistance, can then become immune to physical damage. So in that case, you need to kill them with an ability like Berserk, and using Berserk on physical immune mobs, it won't give you any lifesteal because you're not dealing physical damage. So it's very, very good to use things like Battle Cry because they reduce damage that they deal, and you're going to hit them almost every single time. So that's another added combo there. That's pretty much the build. This is the cookie cutter build. If I were to level up some more, I would finish up doing Whirlwind. Then I'd start up doing Shout, and then if I really, really wanted to play this character, day in, day out, I'd maybe look into Iron Skin and increase speed at that point. Defense in this game is like the ability to counteract attack rating. So if you have high defense, the mobs miss you more often, and that's very important when mobs deal a lot of damage, and also very important when mobs are mana burn. Diablo 2, you have mana for all your characters, and certain mobs can take all of it away if they hit you. So let me just show you how the build functions here. I just concentrate on my left side skill here, which is like the auto attack. It gives you like a defensive bonus. I don't really use it for anything, yeah. The reason I don't have Berserk over there is if you misclick Berserk, it reduces your defense to 0 over a few seconds. 2.7 seconds, your defense is 0. You don't want to misclick that ability, so I just have some random garbage over there. Some people like to use Leap, which is fine. So you do the 3 battle cry things here, and you just find some mobs and you whirlwind them, man. If you have the build, look at that. Down goes hell mobs. So yeah, this is Act 1. Act 1's easy as fuck, but man, you cannot deny how much fun this is. This is like fucking hilarious. You get the drops in Diablo 2. It's good stuff. Now let me show you like Act 4. Act 4 is actually poses some kind of risk because I'm actually playing on hardcore classic, not just classic. So River of Flame is where you're going to find most of the very high HP, very tanky mobs in this game. And the reason you're going to be able to kill them with 600 damage is because of your crushing blow on your Bone Snap, and because you're hitting them a ton of fucking times. Wow, that's actually a really nasty mob. Let's try it. So I'm trying to isolate them. In this game, the most important fact is that the mobs don't actually ever surround you. The only way you're going to get surrounded is if you get yourself into that position. So there you go. And it blew up. It did quite a bit of damage to me, considering I have quite a bit of life. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. There are a lot of risks in this game. There's a lot of mechanical complexities of it, but the basis is very simple. Spam that Warcraft, they're dying too slow. Those particular mobs are known to regenerate life very quickly, so it's very important to hit them. But as you can see, I can kind of cruise through, and with a shitty weapon, with seemingly shitty armor, this is like a pretty garbage roll on a chest piece. Very, very simple amulet. Very, very standardized gear. You can play the game at a level that's actually very enjoyable, because I can kill stuff pretty quickly. I can explore the game. I can get the drops. I can get upgrades, and I can plan out my character in different ways as I progress through the item ladder and through the leveling system, which is essentially infinite in Classic. Hopefully, some of you guys enjoyed what I've said today. I know a lot of you play Diablo 2 still, but I know very few of you still play Classic, and it is a very enjoyable game for me that I've played every so often, every year. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. See you guys tomorrow.